assignment, but he managed to weigh in at 135, as did Whitaker. Jones is 2.5 inches taller than the champion.
And now we'll see our punch stat numbers, which come from 3 fight averages. But perhaps the most interesting thing about these punch stat numbers is that Jones himself is a computer sciences student at a junior college outside of Detroit. So if he loses here, perhaps he'll go to work for punch stat. There you see the jabs. Whitaker throws more jabs than Jones does.
Rules for the fight are taken from all 3 of the governing bodies which recognize Whitaker as champion. 3 judges scoring the fight. 10-point must system. No standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule in effect. You can be saved by the bell in the last round only. We want to pass along to our viewers that both President Bush and Secretary of Defense Cheney have held briefings within the past hour confirming that a ground war in the Persian Gulf is underway, and also stating that for now briefings are suspended and there will be no further official information for the time being. So with that said, we go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for pre-fight introductions here.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again from Caesars Palace here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Main Events Monitor and the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, present Part 2 of this World Championship Boxing doubleheader. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Council, President Jose Suleiman, supervisor at ringside, Ariesto Manrique, the World Boxing Association President, Dr. Gilberto Mendoza, supervisor at ringside, Santiago Chigas, the International Boxing Federation President, Robert W. Lee, and the supervisor for the IBF is Walter Stone. And of course, it is approved and sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. All the officials shall remain the same except for the judges. Doing the scoring once again on a 10-point must system. For this bout, they are Dave Moretti, Joseph Pasquale, and Jerry Roth. And now, ladies and gentlemen, once again from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. The referee for this bout is Mills Lane. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the Kronk gold, weighing an even 135 pounds, from the Motor City in Detroit, Michigan. As a professional, he's ranked number 5 by the WBC, 6 by the IBF, and 8 by the the WBA. His professional record, an outstanding one. 26 victories with 16 KOs, only 2 defeats and 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Anthony Baby Joe. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with black trim. He also weighs an even 135 pounds, from Norfolk, Virginia. This 1984 Olympic gold medal champion has run his professional record to 24-1 with 13 KOs. Considered by many to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world today. Ladies and gentlemen, the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Pernell Sweetie Whitaker.
All right, now we've been through all the instructions one time. Remember to protect yourself at all times. Any questions from the challengers? Any questions from the champion? Let's get it on. Come on.
You know, there's an added incentive for Whitaker, who doesn't seem to need it, going into this fight. With Camacho having been defeated, suddenly Whitaker could be next in line for Chavez. He looks sensational enough here. If Meldrick Taylor is moving on to the welterweight division, this could be a preliminary to a fight with Chavez. And Whitaker has said, however, that he would never fight his stablemate Taylor.
And we are told now that Hector Camacho has agreed to come back to the arena and join us at ringside, Larry, for an interview later in the fight. So we'll look forward to that as round 1 progresses between Pernell Whitaker and Anthony Jones. The wild left that Whitaker missed in the first 20 seconds of the bout was about as aggressive a blow as I've ever seen him throw at the outset. And remember, in his last fight, he had a rare first-round knockout of Juan Nazario.
This is uncharacteristic of him. Going to war, going to ground war, you might call it. When he knocked out his last opponent, even he said he wasn't looking for it. He was boxing. He saw an opening. His fist shot out. He caught the guy a punch he didn't see, and the fight was over. Sometimes after a one-round knockout, and we've seen this happen before, a boxer starts to think of himself more as a slugger and could find himself in some trouble. But I think Whitaker will pull himself together and just fight his fight.
And a couple times in those recent exchanges, we saw the left to the body, which is one of Whitaker's most effective blows. He is known as a slick boxer, but perhaps the one underestimated factor is he does a lot of damage with body punching.
Now Jones is in the southpaw stance here. Let's see when and if he does change to a standard stance.
Whitaker has a lot of experience fighting southpaw. 2 fights with Jose Luis Ramirez, the knockout of Nazario.
Right now, of course, the crowd here is a little spent emotionally. It being a Haugen crowd, this is just some icing.
Jones seemed to enjoy standing at close quarters with Edwin Rosario and trading punches. A lot of people thought it was a mistake. He seems perfectly willing to do the same with Whitaker here if Whitaker will oblige, and so far Purnell is doing it.
You know, there's a question in this fight also of Jones' stamina if the fight goes into the late rounds, because he reportedly had to take off 7, 8, 9 pounds starting late in training as he did. And Whitaker gives a nod to Jones as if to say, hey, that wasn't bad, kid. And it wasn't.
And as we go to Purnell Whitaker's corner, we want to say hello and extend our best wishes and the best wishes of everyone in Purnell's camp to his normal cut man, Ace Murata, who's home in Totowa, New Jersey tonight. He's getting ready to go into hospital for a little bit of a test on Monday. And Ace, we're thinking about you, and so are they.
The defense was real good. You wasn't getting hit with nothing, but you're just loading up too damn much, you see? And that's why you're missing him so much. And I just go out there this time and just box him, box him, box him. The guy ain't got nothing. Okay? All right.
Get that body. Your body punching is coming right through with this guy here. Right? As you're dipping over, go right bottom. Get those ribs in this guy here, right?
Go out there and pick that left hand.
That jab, you can't miss that jab, baby.
Get on off there.
Spit it out. Feeling all right? Hey, you're looking
Don't
good.
look for him to do too much.
Okay.
You do it.
Good fight, baby.
You do it. Don't look for him.
Find a good fight. Beautiful.
You heard Georgie Benton's admonition to Whitaker. You're loading up a little too much. Just box him and let it happen. Don't try to make it happen insofar as a knockout is concerned.
Whitaker's connect percentage, according to PunchStat in the first round, a little bit lower than the near 50% we're used to from him. But he did seem to be loading up and trying to land power punches a little more than usual.
The head's in close.
Good body punch by Whitaker.
Oh, you're getting that. Come on, come on.
Anthony Jones has managed to deliver to the rib cage a couple times himself.
What Whitaker is doing, Jim, is throwing some very hard jabs. Good, stiff jabs.
He used to be something of a butterfly, but in the last 3 years, he has settled down onto flat feet and throws punches with such calm economy. He is really something to watch.
Having a boxer's kind of instincts and temperament and his kinds of quickness, you expect early in that type of fighter's career in his amateur days for a fighter to be jumping around a lot. Even Sugar Ray Robinson in his early days was a mover. And as they gain experience and confidence and strength, they settle down and start to fight in more classic boxing style. It's much harder for a puncher or a slugger to make that kind of modification.
Get that body.
And this has been the product of constant work and instruction from George Benton to Purnell Whitaker. helped to earn Benton a reputation as one of the best teachers in the sport.
Some nice work inside by Jones. Better work from outside by Whitaker.
Good left hand by Whitaker, who has settled down in round 2 but become much more accurate with his punches.
All right, let him go. Step back. Come on. Come on. Come on, pick it up, man. Come on, boys.
Baby Jones graduated from Henry Ford High School in Detroit, one of the top academic high schools in the Detroit public school system.
Very nice, quiet young man, and Emmanuel Stewart seems real proud of him.
And he should be proud of the way he's fighting right here.
That patch, incidentally, is on Pernell Whitaker's shorts. You heard him say in the pre-fight profile that he's fighting for our troops in the Gulf, many of whom he knows because they work out in the gym with him in Norfolk, Virginia. In fact, he has one close friend who is among the handful of prisoners of war being held in Iraq. He was taken as a prisoner early in the war, and Pernell's thoughts are constantly with that young man. Military intelligence has requested that we do not use his name.
That's right. They don't want to seem to give him more importance over any other prisoner than he has.
Now let's go out and box him.
Straight right by Jones, right on the chin of Whitaker.
Good left hand, right on the chin.
Pernell has landed that overhand left about 5 times now. Sets it up with the swift jab. Or has led with it a couple times. Always looking to dig the right to the ribcage in close. And there a left to the body.
I know.
Jones fighting almost exclusively out of the southpaw stance in this fight. Only for a few seconds as he turned around and fought from a conventional. Now he turns around and goes conventional and steps forward behind the left jab.
The last time a late substitute defeated a champion, Bone Crusher Smith, against Tim Witherspoon.
Thrown in with only about 3 or 4 days preparation, right?
I don't recall. It might have been longer than that, Jim. I think it was more somewhere between a week and 2 weeks. A week. Our producer, Ross Greenberg, tells us it was 1 week. And what resulted was a 1-round knockout. Whitaker is winning these rounds, but it's no walk in the park.
Just take your time just like you're doing. That's boxing. Huh? Now take your time like you're doing. Just box him like that. Now when you close, don't get tied up. Use your uppercuts. This guy's easy to hit with uppercuts. Well, yeah, both hands. All you got to do is close your eyes and throw him. But don't throw him from outside. Throw him inside when you're in close.
Right? Jab.
That's it. That's
Put a lot of pressure on this man. He's not expecting. You're picking everything, and when you get inside, it's important that you start pushing him. Don't back up when you're inside. You understand? When you get into the exchanges, make sure you make him break ground a little bit, okay?
Looking for him to do something back. Don't look for him to do something back.
Look at him. Make him break ground. You understand? When you get inside where you're having your exchanges, always make sure that you're always pushing him back to make him break ground. You understand? Because you're putting a lot more pressure on him than he's used to getting.
Take the respect away from him.
Emmanuel Stewart insisted to us that he believed, in terms of style, this was a favorable matchup for Anthony Jones. He wasn't able to offer a lot of specifics as to why he thought Jones matched up so well with Whitaker, but he firmly insisted that he believed Jones would have a chance to win the fight because of a favorable style matchup. But you saw the punch stat numbers that showed Whitaker landing nearly 50% of his punches to only 13% for Jones.
Well, the fact that Jones is here and giving a reasonable account of himself is a tribute to Stewart and the Kronk Club. Of course, Tommy Hearns, the most famous member of that club, the first champion and by far the best champion to come out of there. But Emmanuel Stewart has produced a lot of good professional prize fighters who, because of Hearns, have gotten some breaks and maybe haven't been as good as they were thought to be. But Tony Jones is making the fight here. He's taking it to Whitaker and making Whitaker earn whatever he gets.
Jones wasn't in training for any specific matchup. He had nothing contracted, but he says that he never allows himself to get very much out of shape, and he's always in the gym at least a few days a week, whether he's ready to fight or not. Whitaker took a right and gave a couple of good lefts. Content to stand in close and trade punches with Jones.
He's put some heavy stuff on Jones, and Jones isn't going anywhere yet. The fact that Whitaker is willing to change is an expression of his confidence in himself. Remember earlier I said, Jim, that he sees everything and it looks like he can land everything. And so he's not afraid of staying inside because he can see the punches coming and he can counter them before they get there.
Well, if in fact he finds it convenient to rehearse for a potential Chavez matchup, he'd better get ready for infighting, because that's what he'll get there.
Look on this, you can't punch with two hands and open. Come on, bang.
In many ways, Whitaker is a more dangerous opponent for Chavez than Camacho was. Not as an attractive as a match, but a more dangerous opponent because of his quickness.
Hey, suck it up now, suck it up. Keep working just the way you're working, and the main thing is to keep pushing, you understand? Very important that you push him. Push him inside.
The weight on him.
That's when your man don't get the left to get his best shots off.
Harold Letterman, how do you see the first 4 rounds?
Larry, 4 rounds to nothing, 40-36, favor Pernell Whitaker. He keeps landing those good straight left hands to the body. He keeps coming underneath with that real good straight left hand. You know, I keep talking about the 4 points in which we score. I always talk about defense. Watch Pernell Whitaker keep his hands up high, his elbows in tight. He picks up a lot of shots on the gloves and the elbows. Give him credit for defense.
And let's see, now a good roundhouse left. Wasn't that short, sharp punch that gets a knockout. but it did get Jones' attention. I don't think I've seen Whitaker ever do this kind of thing before.
I don't think so either.
Here we go, come on. Let's get back. Here we go, come on.
But I think you're right, Larry. I think his willingness to stand in close like that is a mark of the constantly growing confidence which has been manifested throughout his career. So calm in close, and you think of Chavez when you see that.
Yeah, it's unusual. It's sort of like an antelope deciding he's so quick that he can stand right in front of the lion and make the lion miss.
And we are joined now at ringside by one of Purnell's closest friends and training partners, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. And Evander, what about the more flat-footed style that Purnell seems to exhibit now as opposed to a couple years ago? By design?
Well, I think right now, I think Purnell ain't really fighting his fight. He's a very technical fighter, and now that he is stronger, he's seeing to go flat-footed, but he's knocking guys out and getting the people what they're looking for.
But when you say not fighting his fight, do you think that he's being lured into a little bit more of a brawl here than is necessary or advisable?
Well, I think right now he's just so confident that that he can take this guy out, and he's not fighting his fight. And usually when he fights his opponent, he's very cautious, and he uses his quickness and his technicability.
So are you saying that he's achieved a certain peak in his career, and now he's trying to be a more exciting fighter because that could result in more exciting bank deposits?
Well, it could be, but, Purnell is a very technical fighter, and he's very skillful. Right now, he's just looking to take this guy out, which is not his fight.
Purnell between rounds, or Evander between rounds, and the end of this round is coming up. We're going to ask your opinion about what you saw earlier, as just about a half hour ago, our audience was treated to the sight of Hector Camacho's first loss in 39 career fights. It came under extremely unusual circumstances. Did you have a sense during the closing rounds of that fight that Greg Haugen might be about to get a decision?
Well, not really, because I guess the fight was close and Greg Hart was in the fight, but I thought Camacho out-punched him and pretty much scored a lot of punches. And I think by him losing that point in the last round would cost him the fight, which I think was wrong, because the referee told the Church Club Camacho wanted the Church Club and Haugen didn't, but it cost Camacho the fight.
That's right. He's the one who stepped in and threw punches, and he's the one who had a point deducted. Larry?
But wasn't, even if you give the fight to Camacho, and a reasonable argument can be made that he won it close, wasn't it too close? I mean, shouldn't he have been able to dominate a 30-year-old Haugen who 2 years ago, Purnell Whitaker shut out?
Wore out.
Well, I look at it like this. Haugen fought a great fight, and you can't take that from him. And Camacho, I don't know if he prepared properly for that fight, because Haugen had his number. It was on him and made the fight very close.
And that's shame on Hector Camacho.
Sure is, because it shows that you never take nobody lightly. You never know what fight is going to come out.
Thank you very much, Evander.
And best of luck as you get ready for April 19 and your date with George Foreman, and we're going to be seeing you somewhere down the road ourselves. So thanks very much. Evander Holyfield, heavyweight champion of the world, goes back to enjoying this fight from the spectator seats, and we go back to the business of Anthony Jones against undisputed lightweight champ Purnell Whitaker in round 6. When I referred to us seeing Evander Holyfield somewhere down the road, I'm referring, of course, to the fact that we will bring you a preview show prior to Foreman Holyfield. Look for your listings on HBO to catch that preview show as we get ready for that big heavyweight championship bout. Good left hand by Whitaker and another left, and Jones's defense begins to drop a little bit. Closest thing to a slugfest, I think, in Pernell Whitaker's professional career.
Absolutely. He may also have the sense that how great in condition can Jones be in with 8 days notification. I mean, even if he wasn't far out of condition, and obviously it wasn't, he wasn't in fighting condition. So as the fight goes on, this kind of tempo figures to help Whitaker.
Wonder if he enjoyed reading the press clippings after his one-round knockout of Nazario. Got a little more pleasure out of that maybe than having read about all of the 12-round decisions that preceded it.
Well, he may find out something about himself here. It may be a good learning experience for future fights, particularly big fights, that he has to return to his style, or he may like this. He may feel that he can do this.
Of course, you remember what happened in the career of middleweight champion Michael Nunn, who knocked out Sumbu Kalambe unexpectedly in one round, and then proceeded to have a horrible outing next time out, at least horrible in the eyes of many in the boxing world, against Iran Barkley. But it wasn't a case of Nunn deciding to slug it out with Barkley. That was quite the opposite.
Fight, a beautiful fight. You all right? What rounds are coming up now?
7.
Okay. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. How you feeling? Now we're gonna have to try to take these going on down the stretch now, okay? Okay, we went over the halfway.
What you can do now? Just jab him, and counter. Get a clean counter, you know what I mean? Because the guy slowed down to a walk. So your counter punch will be easy now. You see what's going on? Now keep him at bay with your jab, right?
Pull the cup.
Keep him at bay with your jab, you understand? Don't let him get thirsty. Don't run, just walk.
Here is Whitaker in slow-mo. Good straight left hand. I guess Jones would like to see him in slow-mo inside the ring. Whitaker is too quick for him. Hector Camacho has returned to ringside, and we're going to try to get him here during this fight.
There's a Whitaker trademark as he ducked down almost to his knees to get under an Anthony Jones approach. He's been known to turn full 360s to escape from opponents. Round 7 of a scheduled 12. Pernell Whitaker defending his lightweight championship against Tony Jones. And Whitaker, though in control, taking more punishment in a different kind of fight than he normally fights. Between rounds 7 and 8, we'll have our chance to begin rehashing what happened in the first bout of the evening, as we have just been joined at ringside by Hector Camacho. And Hector, before we get to the conversation, we just want to express to you our gratitude for taking the trouble to come back, because we know you had left the arena to come back and join us and talk about this on what is, of course, a difficult night for you. We appreciate it. We'll be with you in just a minute.
I see Pete is working. He don't seem to be fighting.
Purnell has been involved here, Hector, in something a little bit more like a slugfest than he's used to. He's allowed himself to stay in close and take some heavy blows from Jones while trying to dish out something more like knockout punches himself than he normally brings.
Well, it looks like a relaxed Purnell, more or less like the way I was. But we in Vegas, so we got to start fighting more.
Well, you're indicating that maybe you learned a little bit about Las Vegas judges tonight and the need to be careful when you're in the company of Las Vegas judges. Do you feel like you were robbed?
Well, I thought I won the fight, you know, by being robbed, they really didn't take nothing from me. You know, it surprised me because when I walked out, a lot of people want to see me get beat. They want to see me, to see how if I lose. I don't feel like a loser. Everybody's telling me I got robbed and this and that. So I let the public say the story. Yeah.
All right, Larry, we're going to take a look now at what happened before the 12th round, or actually in the beginning of the 12th round.
This actually cost you the fight. Now, what happened here as far as you were concerned? It looked like he didn't want to touch gloves with you?
You see, well, right there, you see, he provoked it there. Because, you know, he didn't want to shake their hand, and he just dropped his hand, and I just went into action. If anything, he should have warned me not to take the point.
Did you actually hit him? Because the punches didn't look like they landed solidly. They looked anyway.
Well, let me tell you. When I started the round, I felt like I controlled the whole fight. He put good pressure on me. I was more or less like Purnell, you know, just working, throwing jabs, throwing movement, trying not to overexcite myself and look all sloppy. And the fight went the way it did.
Yes. But it seemed to us at ringside that your corner kept reinforcing your feeling that you had the fight under control, when in fact it was a much, much closer fight, and it's reasonable to assume that Haugen was going to get a lot of the close rounds in his hometown.
Well, let me tell you, I kept controlling the fight with the jabs, with the 1-2, with my movement. The only thing he kept getting off was body shots, you know, straight left hand to the, you know, a hook to the body. I kept the movement. I thought I had control. I didn't want to get to no slugfest. When I did, I got the best of it. I thought I won the fight, but if they give him the decision, I'm not gonna, you know, complain about it, feel down about it, and feel like I lost the fight.
All right, let's go back to this fight, and we'll talk again between rounds, Hector.
And this has been more of the same in this round, as still Purnell Whitaker and Anthony Jones fight at relatively close quarters and trade blows. Whitaker, the more accurate puncher of the two, maybe a little bit the more effective with those blows that he lands, but on the other hand, taking more effective punches than is sometimes the case for someone who is so slick and so effective a defensive fighter. Solid left hand by Whitaker in that exchange, but Jones landed 2 rights. There's the left and the right to the body.
If this is an experiment for Whitaker, fighting this kind of fight, the result could be good. I mean, he has hit Jones with some really good, hard, straight punches, and there is Jones standing right in front of him. So he may go back and look at this and say, okay, I don't have the natural power to fight this way very often, and to somehow find some more happy medium between his old style and this style.
Just saw him shake the left hand a little bit, and Purnell has a history of hand problems. He has broken a knuckle or 2 in the past. So you have to watch carefully in all his fights to see if he's favoring it. But no, he is not favoring the left hand, as he saw there with the 2 hard shots. So round 8 comes to a close, and we turn back to the business of Camacho Haugen in the big upset that took place earlier tonight Hector, you struggled to make weight yesterday. Had to get rid of about 3 or 4 pounds between 2 and 5 o'clock. Did it hurt you tonight?
No, I felt good. Like I said, he put good pressure on me. He was never really getting off hard shots on me. I thought it was going to be the same kind of fight that I, analyzed. He's going to put good pressure, keep consistent pressure on me, and I just had to be sharp to get ready for a fight like Chavez. But right now, we just got to work a game plan.
So is it fair to say you really looked past him to Chavez, and that made it, even if you won the fight in your eyes, a closer fight than many of us thought it would be?
Well, I thought it'd be that kind of fight, though, but the crowd seemed to really, come off everything he did, got the crowd behind him, but I don't know what to say at the moment, and I don't know what to analyze. I never thought I could lose the fight, but out of my mind, I don't feel like a loser, Larry.
Do you want a rematch with Haugen? Because obviously Chavez, Taylor, Whitaker, that's not going to happen right now.
Well, let me tell you, this will be a good story added to my story. I'm definitely going to look for another title, a rematch, or just go after the WBA champion. But I definitely want to come back with a title fight.
All right. Thanks very much, Hector. We appreciate your time. In fact, I think you just earned your nickname. To me, coming back and talking to us tonight is the most macho thing you've ever done.
No, just want to be realistic and see what's happening.
All right.
Thank you, Hector.
Best of luck in the future. Don't forget the 38 victories that preceded the 1 loss. Hector Camacho says he'll be back. And we turn our attention back now to round 9 of Pernell Whitaker versus Tony Jones.
One of the interesting things here, Jim, he's come out here, as Evander Holyfield said, to try to be more exciting, and in so doing, has given us a kind of tough, grueling, but not very exciting fight.
Well, it just doesn't look that much like Pernell Whitaker, right?
But again, part of this is due to the fact that the crowd is still a little bit emotionally spent from the first fight. If this crowd was up and roaring, because there is some very good action here, this fight might take on a different coloration. Although right now on my scorecard, Whitaker has won every round.
I think that's true. But it is not the kind of domination that's going to arouse the excitement and the intense allegiance of boxing fans, as is evidenced to some degree by the quiet in the house as this takes place. It was 2 years ago when Pernell Whitaker took some time off to nurse the left hand that he broke in Paris against Jose Luis Ramirez. And between rounds, he seemed to be flexing it in the corner, as if to try to be sure that all the feeling was there.
That was an old-fashioned punch in the nose, right on the nose.
Through the first 8 rounds, Pernell Whitaker threw a lot of hard shots with the left hand. Doesn't seem to be throwing it with the same resolve now. Yep, and he shakes it again as he goes back to the corner. I wonder if something has happened to the knuckles on Pernell's left hand.
Hey, just do it like that. You understand? You ain't got to do that. You know what I mean? Doing beautiful, baby, beautiful. That hook is working good for you when you're through it. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. You look like a damn $1 million. Just keep that going, right?
Hold that cup,
Right? That's the way to handle it.
No, all right, come on.
Now listen, let that jab work overtime for you, right? Don't get too careless with it. Don't get too careless with it, man. You understand?
Harold, I've already given my scorecard. How's yours?
Larry, 8 rounds to 1, 89-82 favorite Pernell Whitaker. I think Anthony Jones took it to him in the 9th round and pulled out that 9th round. Pernell just didn't seem to be as active as he was at the first 8, so I gave round 9 to Anthony Jones because he landed a few more good shots.
Well, and it's a credit to him. that this late in the fight, for which he had so little time to prepare, that he is still active and still going at it.
Well, he threw another left hand to the jaw. So that's a sign that maybe it isn't hurt. You heard George Benton say, let the jab work overtime for you. That's Lou Duva screaming for the right hook.
There it was.
An obedient student.
Come on. Come on, here we go. Come on.
Mills Lane, the third man in the ring. We used to refer to him as the district attorney from Reno. He is now a district judge from Reno, more in keeping with his role as a referee.
Generally regarded as one of the best. There's the right hook once again, and there again. But Anthony Jones continues to pound away in close. Returning fire from Pernell Whitaker. And while it's a different kind of bout, the parallel here to Barkley Nunn is that this is an increasingly dull fight.
Boxers should box and sluggers should slug.
Let him go, boy. Come on.
This is a game performance by Tony Jones, but as we get toward the end of round 10, you look at the record and realize that Jones has never fought an 11th or a 12th round. And he's about to face that responsibility in a minute from now.
Trying to pace yourself?
No.
Okay, well, we can let it hang out a little bit more now. It's 11th round coming up, and then you just got down the stretch. All you got to do is fire with a little more authority on it. So you just fire at this man.
Waiting on him driving. Don't let him drive. You got to let him punch his goal.
Let the shots flow. You're taking his best shot. He's going to shoot right on the money. You're taking everything and walk right through him. Kept eating, but you got to punch more. That's the only difference. You got to try to knock this man out. Tighten up on him. Try to trick him. Take these shots. You can't miss him with the right hook. You can't miss him with the right hook.
You don't let him get that respect. Keep him respected. You understand? Okay. Gotta hope it's working good when you throw it.
The jab is coming in good. Use that right hook. Just dip over and go to the right hook. You're going to rip it right up on top of this guy. Come on.
How many fighters could look less than their best while landing 54% of their punches?
Well, it's not that he's less than his best, Jim. It gets into the area of expectation, what you expect from a man and what he does. And so this fight has become an anticlimax primarily because of what happened in the first fight, because that was not our expectation, and that made it more dramatic. This is not our expectation in terms of the style, but it's a hard act to follow. Hector Camacho losing his first fight in 12 years. Some people are voting with their feet here. Just to say there a handful of spectators are beginning to walk out.
And even Lou Duba is quiet. Well, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Jones.
Yep, and Emmanuel Stewart.
Another solid left hand by Whitaker, and Jones, as Manuel Stewart pointed out between rounds, is able to walk through it.
Where's that right hand? Where's that hook? Where's that hook? That's it. Where's that hook?
Now, this speaks of a prize fighter's professionalism, that he could come in here against an outstanding young champion and stand there and hustle away now through the best part of 11 rounds. He may be studying computer sciences, but he's got some flesh and bone and other stuff inside him that is driving him like this.
Some stomach. And in the first 11th round of his career, Anthony Jones looked much the same as he did in the first 10 rounds of this assignment with Pernell Whitaker.
All right, now look, this round now, they hit him a lot of jabs to the body. You understand? Yeah. They jab him in the body. Because he is dying. You understand? Right. And keep it composure. Don't let him. You see how much better you was when you didn't let him charge you.
Put this body pivot, okay? Everything hard. Body pivot. Body pivot. Stay in there close this round, all the way on it. And putting everything on the shots. You understand?
Charge, he can't hurt you when you meet the charge, right? Hey, look.
Yeah, baby. Come on. That hard jab and that hook, the right hand here, right hand over. You can't miss this shot. Come on.
Don't get careless. But hard jab. No damn doing. Keep doing it.
Get out. This is it. Try to get him out of it with something short. Push yourself. Let's go. Stay in close.
You know, Jim, I've often said that when the crowd wants blood, what blood really means is drama. They want to see the tide of a fight go this way and that way. They want to see people exhibit not only their skills, but everything you bring to a demanding game like this. And obviously there wasn't any red blood in that first fight, but it was filled with drama. It was back and forth. It did. The tides did change. The man who was knocked down got up and went on and kept pressing the fight and won it. And that's why people responded to it, quite aside from the personalities of Haugen and Camacho, which are interesting enough.
But in this fight,
for whatever reason, it's sort of bloodless. But again, it's because it's following a really tremendous upset. Seems to me we had an upset almost as big as this, or bigger than that, last February, Jim.
yeah, I remember that. We have seen some unusual things. There was a question in Whitaker's corner between rounds as to whether he had hurt the hand. Lou Duba mentioned it.
February has been the cruelest month for Mike Tyson, considered invincible, and Hector Camacho.
Unbeaten fighters taking unexpected losses in consecutive Februarys on HBO. Well, barring a monumental reversal of expectation by the Vegas judges here, Pernell Whitaker is going to have another defense of his lightweight championship in a unanimous decision over Anthony Jones in a bout which will not be remembered much. as it comes in the aftermath of the stunning upset of Hector Camacho by Greg Haugen. But as you pointed out at the beginning of the fight, the question now will be, with Camacho temporarily at least out of the picture, where does Whitaker go from here? Will he stay at 135 pounds, continuing to try to pick off opponents in his own weight class, or will he consider Chavez at 140 pounds? Obviously, the money will be in a Chavez fight. Whitaker with a final burst, perhaps gunning for a knockout.
For the good fighters, they go where the money is. Hearns, Leonard moved up and down from welterweight to light heavyweight, and I don't think 140 pounds is any hard obstacle for this man.
Is Whitaker ready for Chavez?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to see Whitaker or Taylor fighting Chavez. It's not going to be Taylor right away because he has a mandatory welterweight defense. It very well might be Whitaker, and we'll ask him about it when we get into the ring.
Who would you favor in that bout?
Well, I can't. How do you go against Chavez, who's about 70-0? In my judgment, pound for pound, the best fighter out there. Until he loses, he's the best.
Leave it alone. Don't even take the
All right, Larry Merchant will go to the ring now in expectation of a conversation with Purnell. And we take a look at Harold Letterman's final card. Harold, how'd you score it?
Well, Jim, I got it 118 to 110, 10 rounds to 2 favor Purnell Whitaker. He just landed too many shots to the body. I mean, it was toe-to-toe. It was Anthony Jones's type of fight, but Anthony just didn't have enough snap to the punches, not a velocity. Purnell outpunched him, and that's all there was to it. No question, Purnell should win this one big.
All right, Harold, let's see if the Vegas judges agreed with you as we go back to Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Caesar's Palace, we go to the scorecards. Here's the official scoring. Joseph Pasquale and Jerry Ross both have it, 120 to 108. Dave Moretti scores about 119 to 109 for the winner, and still undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Purnell Sweet Pea Whitaker. Let's have a round of applause.
And there's the expected result
Baby Jones from Detroit, Michigan.
as the crowd begins to file out with a polite round of applause for the reigning lightweight champion of the world, first undisputed champion in that division since Roberto Duran. Final punch stat numbers in the bout, and you're going to see that Purnell Whitaker connected on 52% of his punches, but Anthony Jones at least stayed just as busy, throwing 28 more punches in the bout than Whitaker, landing at a much lower rate, but as Harold Letterman said, it was a style of fight that seemed more up the alley of Anthony Jones than the consummate boxer Purnell Whitaker. Let's go to Larry Merchant with the champ.
All right, Purnell, your people, the Dubas, are telling me that you broke your hand early in the fight. When did it happen?
Well, I'm not sure if it's broken, but it's rather sore right now. But in the third round, you know, those shots, that's why I'm a game fighter. That's why I don't let any adversity stop me. You know, even though I did hurt my hand, I didn't complain. I just came back out.
You've had it broken twice before. Let's take a look here. There's a punch that was on the borderline, and you're shaking your hand. Is that when it happened? Is that your recollection?
No, it was before then, but once I threw that shot, I landed a little elbow. I think I hurt my hand on top of the head. But when I just kept using it like I've been doing. You know, if it's hurt, you know, I still have to keep using it, or, you know, I'm going to be a one-hand fighter.
You've had that hand broken twice before. You should be the world's expert on whether it's broken before it gets to an x-ray machine. Do you think it's broken?
I think it's fractured.
You think it's fractured?
Not broken. Not broken, because I wouldn't be able to ball it if it was broken.
Well, I'm not sure how we're going to separate that hair between broken and fractured.
Okay, well, you know, I would never know until I take this glove off, and you know, and then just take a look at it. If it's puffed up, then we're gonna get outside.
Why did you fight the fight you fought? You were standing there. You wanted to fight toe-to-toe. Is that because you knocked the man out with one punch the last fight?
No, Larry. It changed. The game plan kind of changed a little bit in there on me, because I was expecting Jones either to switch, keep switching. I didn't expect him to stay one way too long, and he stayed pretty much right-handed the whole fight. Then he would change, but he was awkward too. And plus, you know, coming in I had 3 different opponents, and I prepared for all 3 of them.
But why were you so aggressive? Were you determined to find out if you could punch hard enough to start knocking people out?
No.
And did that lead to your breaking your hand again, presumably?
No, Anthony Jones didn't show me that he could make me move around. You know, and there's no sense to moving around when I really didn't have to. You know, so I tried to move around him instead of moving, bounce and bounce. You know, but we had the right game plan, and it was a great fight.
Given the result of the Camacho fight, it would appear that you are now closer to a fight with Julio Cesar Chavez. What are your feelings about that?
Well, at least, you know, I'll fight tomorrow or whatever happens. But at least I would know who I'm fighting for sure. And if, you know, if something happens...
So you're saying you want to fight him?
Of course. You know, I'll fight anybody, Larry. But first, can I say hi to my 3 sons, Dominique, Cornell, and Dontavius, and to my sisters and brothers.
Would it be fair to say that the only thing that could stop you from fighting Chavez would be a broken hand that might sideline you for a while?
Oh, no, I'll be back. I'll be back in a month. No, I'll be back. I'll be back. And whatever happens. But I closed the show out. I closed the show out the way I wanted to. Impressive, never losing a round.
It was very quiet in here. It was because the fight seemed to be an anticlimax to the first fight.
I think because of the fact that Camacho did lose, you know, and the crowd loved that, you know, and if he'd have won, then I'd have came out and then, you know, the crowd would have been more into it. But, you know, I always say that, you know, I come in here to go 12, and if whatever happens, happens. These guys are getting game now, and I know none of my fights are going to be easy. But, you know, I'm still winning. And however you chalk up a W, I get that an A minus.
Okay.